All right, I should do an intro. Oh God. All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode here. Muhammad Tantawi with another episode with now a friend of my old past, Mr. Jason Pandorf. How you doing?
Beautiful introduction. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Uh, I'm doing well. I'm glad we got this together.
Yeah, me
Hopefully
too.
we can piss some people off. That would be
Hopefully.
fun. That would be fun. All right, so you saw the election. We're gonna go back to that. Instant reaction. You saw Trump winning, and it was pretty evident he was gonna win from the beginning. What were you thinking?
When you say the beginning, do you mean like when the votes started rolling in or
Yeah.
before election day? Because before election day, I was probably 60-40 for Trump and
No, dude,
Kamala.
all the betting websites had Trump winning by a mile,
Yeah, but I was skeptical about the betting websites. I was very skeptical about those. But I guess
bro.
but it seemed like they were pretty spot on, right?
Yeah, they were better than the polls.
Yeah.
Just
And yeah,
crazy.
people would make that argument like when there's money on the line, uh it gets more and more accurate or something like that.
Yeah,
But
which is probably true.
yeah, but I think there was a lot of arguments for uh, the suppressed Kamala voter. Like, and I heard those arguments. I said, yeah, that could be true. That could definitely be true.
Yeah, I
But
have some thoughts on that, but I want to hear what you thought when you saw Trump was about to win. Or were you scared, happy, nervous?
uh, I would say of those three, I would just say nervous. But I would have been nervous either way. Like honestly, I don't even know if it matters who it is. I think there's just a level of nervousness for even if I was super hopeful about the candidate, I would be pretty nervous about most likely 4 years of something different. The different could be good. It could be a lot worse. You never really know. Um, I didn't really care much either way though. Like,
Me either. I just didn't like the narratives that were going into it. Like Kamala would reference the dark times,
yes,
and Trump would reference his anti-bureaucracy,
yeah,
anti-institutions. He's gonna fire the guy who's like regulates crypto, the head of the SEC, I think, and he just hates
uh-huh,
everybody. So I didn't. To me, my life wasn't gonna change, and it's not that I don't think politics affects my life, but it doesn't affect my life to a point that the I'm gonna meet the level of outrage I see online.
yeah. I think
There's
that's
not an
true.
equivalence there.
Yeah, it's more
That's
of a. It seems like it's more of a personality thing almost about how people get really heated about it,
yeah,
and I think Trump is a big symptom of that as well, as to why he won in the first place both times.
bro. I saw a video yesterday of Trump. So they were like, there's this group called White Guys for Kamala,
Yes. Yeah.
and Trump was like, you saw this video? Um,
Maybe.
Trump, he said, well, that's cool because the wives and their secret mistresses or secret husbands on the side are all voting for me.
Interesting. Because
And
she keep going, keep going.
no, I was gonna say it's just that brashness. Like he talks shit like a kid. Like he talks like me,
Yeah, he does.
and that's what's insane. So
And
I agree with your personality thing.
and I do think that he changed politics probably forever. In some ways, I think some ways for the best because for someone like me, he was I think the first politician that I saw that was literally off the cuff. Everyone
Yeah.
else, everyone else is too polished and it makes it look fake, and he wasn't like that.
Yes,
And I
bro.
think people have been feeling that for a while.
Even Kamala's concession speech, she was reading off the teleprompter, and I was like,
Yeah, I was actually really hopeful when I watched that there would be something, you know, something interesting about what she thought of to why she lost, and then it was all generic.
it was nothing. It was
Yeah,
it was cool when she started talking about the kids and the future and having hope. It was
yeah,
motivating, but
yeah.
I mean,
But it was motivating a generic like anyone could say this.
yeah, it's like an Instagram reel type thing.
Yeah, exactly. But oh, I was gonna say that Kamala, she was doing kind of the same thing, but on the other side, like she had ads about um it was like married households, and the woman would have to hide that she was voting for Kamala. Did you ever see this? Yeah. I thought
No.
that was yeah, it was like the wife wants to vote for Kamala, but she's nervous, and she's a previous Trump voter, but she's nervous about if her husband's gonna get mad at her or something like that, which is a pretty crazy ad. I think if you live in that type of house, then if that's what your marriage is like, then that's not a good marriage.
Yeah. I mean, I think she can support it with women do face a lot of hard times, like domestic violence rates.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the victims are women. But Trump did great among white women.
Yeah, he did.
It's
He did.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And the Democrats lost a lot of white men voting, actually, now that we bring that up.
Yeah. Did you read what
And
Bernie wrote after?
I heard about that.
Yeah, I think he
Something like the Republicans were speaking to the actual people
yeah, the
and the
working class.
Democrats,
Yeah.
the working, yeah. But if you could elaborate on it further, I don't, I never actually saw it. I just heard about it.
Yeah, he was essentially saying that the Democrats need to take responsibility for losing the working class, and he's saying that they've been favoring elites for a long time now. And he's not making fun of them, but he's saying you guys shouldn't be surprised. It was something like when you abandon the working class, why should you be surprised when they abandon you? Essentially.
hmm You remember that stereotype that you probably grew up with it too, like when you're young, you're a Democrat because you're broke. But when you're
Yes.
rich, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, let me turn off my phone. Okay, so I was looking at the exit polling data, and it said that the only socioeconomic group to favor Trump was the middle class. The lower class favored Kamala. The upper class or the rich class favored Kamala as well.
Hmm.
I found that super interesting because it kind of gave validity or validated Bernie's points that
Yeah.
there are those people with 3 kids, a car, 2 cars, a house payment that really feel like they're in a rat race. And after all, they probably have a degree, or at least they have a good job, and they're like, we make, let's say, $120,000 together, and we feel broke, and that
Hmm.
must feel terrible
Yeah.
because you're kind of tied. You're basically a prison. You're a prisoner to all the things you have, things that are should be normal, like having 2 cars when you have 3 kids, and both of you need a car to
Yeah.
go to work. Like those are normal things to have.
Hmm.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
And a lot of people, a lot of older people, uh, when they'll ask me about like, what have you been up to and this and that, and it's interesting because almost immediately when I tell them like, oh, I moved back in with my parents a little while ago, I just thought it would be better, and it was just too expensive. And they're like, I don't know how you guys are gonna do it. Like your generation, it's like you can't get, they'll just go off and off and off. And I mean, it's not that they're wrong, but it's said a lot now by the older people. They feel really bad for the kids. And this
Oh, they
economy,
screwed us over.
yeah,
They screwed us. I mean, not them. I mean, everyone knows the stats on wages increasing and the job market,
yeah,
house prices of houses. Nothing has kept up with wages, and nothing is getting cheaper. Especially, I mean, things gradually, like inflation gradually gets worse, I guess, because things just get more expensive over time. But that COVID period, like, boosted it. Like, in Mario Kart, when you get the little turbo,
yeah,
like, it just made it a lot worse. And now, like, grocery shopping to me is much harder. Like, it really is. And
yeah,
to go back to Trump, I think that's why he won. Like, I would love to save democracy, but for right now, I want to save money on my food bill. Like, if we're
yeah.
talking
I
about
think
me.
I think one of the big questions that I was listening to people before the election, and they were saying that they viewed Kamala as something new, but they were surprised when it seems like the majority of the public viewed her as the incumbent because she's the vice president, and they didn't give her um I don't know what you'd call it, like slack, I guess. They didn't give her a chance essentially. They were like, "No, Trump, I guess, was the safer in this scenario when it comes to how much money am I going to have?"
No, she definitely failed to differentiate herself from Biden.
Yeah.
She
Yeah, she
definitely
was all
failed
over
that.
the place.
She didn't. To be honest, she should have took a stance that would have gave a little bit of drama on the part of Biden or his press secretary answering questions on his behalf as to why Kamala would say certain things because she needed to do a 180. Joe
Yeah.
Biden has no respect. I mean, after the first debate against Trump, I mean, he doesn't even look alive. Like
Yeah, and he's
sincerely.
like, "I'm staying in, guys."
Yeah, he looks and he's old. I mean, it's old. I mean, I probably look that way too.
Yeah.
But to be the president of the United States and you look like a ghost, that's insane to me.
I think one of the I think they should not have gone with Kamala. I think they should have gone with someone outside, more outside in the way that Trump is perceived as being on the outside of the elite class or whatever. But I don't I don't think it could have worked for Kamala because she'd been lying for years about Biden's state. She's like, "Oh, he's great," and she never even gave a real answer as to, like, why he's dropping out. It was always like, "I respect him so much, and he's still the best. He's still the best," and like I don't, I
Yeah.
it was kind of an unwinnable fight to be like, "Yeah, I've been lying to you guys for several years now about Biden's state," but she couldn't really do that.
Well, take me back. The 2020 election, I think she was the first person to drop out. I think.
She was
Pretty
definitely
sure.
one of the first. Yeah, definitely.
So, in a way, she might have just felt indebted forever
Yeah,
because she wasn't gonna this would have never been possible if she was never vice president. They would have never looked at her
yeah,
twice.
exactly.
And she was kind of behind the 8 ball, man. I mean, we haven't even had a woman president yet, so to bring in a black woman from California, so the California stigma is still on you. Plus, there's a lot of, and you saw this in the exit poll data with like rates of Latino and black men. There is a lot of gender hating, like interracial gender hating,
Mm,
and then a lot of, I think, I think hate that because she was like she prosecuted a lot of people, like with the
yeah.
not treason, truancy, the truancy
Okay. Yeah.
prosecutions. So I think, dude, she was behind the 8 ball in so many ways.
I think
She
she
did
I
it really
think
well.
I think she did a good I think she had a good message when people would ask her about it's like the baiting question of what do you say to black people that don't want to vote for you? And she would just say like I'm not just going to say that I deserve their vote. That's weird. And that was a good answer. But then I think
Good
Obama was not helpful cuz he would go like, "Come on, brother. Like brothers, what are we doing here?" Like and I don't think people responded to that very well, understandably.
God, you know who should have ran? Michelle Obama should have ran.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I mean,
Me
she's
too.
super popular. She's super popular.
Bro, dude, the Obamas are insanely popular.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, he's still
Obamas
the
are
head of the
like,
party.
I'm trying to think. The Obamas might be the new Clintons of the day.
Yeah, I think so.
I
And they're
mean,
gonna
they're
they're gonna be
just
there for a
so,
while.
yeah, and
But
I
actually,
see it.
I think it's I think right now it is harmful to the party. I think once the Obama era is gone, I think I like everything, something really good could emerge from that, like something good and new, but it could get worse too, I'm not sure.
Well, to be honest, we keep saying that everything started with Trump, but really everything started with Obama.
Hmm.
Obama, when he prioritized helping gay people, when he instituted Obamacare, plus all of his, I mean, for me, the war diatribes he went on overseas with the drones and things like that.
Yeah.
And he deported more people than Trump did. He deported more people than what's his face, George Bush did. Obama was not Obama. Like you could make a case for it, and I've seen it from some people who are much more educated than I am on YouTube, that he was like a double agent, like
Interesting.
posing as someone that he's not.
Yeah.
And I really think it started with Obama because if you remember remember John McCain was doing his little speech and the old lady, 90 years old, she's like, I just can't vote for Obama because he wasn't born in this country. And
Mhm.
then John McCain has to stop her and be like, no, 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 okay, we're not doing that on live TV. You know,
No,
I
really?
know.
Interesting.
Yeah, you should look at. I mean, he's facing Obama, and he still is like, bro, okay, we can't take
Yeah.
politics there. Like, you got to relax. That's just not true.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah, so I
respect for
definitely,
him. That's a good answer. Of being like, that's a dumb question, or that's a
yeah,
dumb way to think about this.
bro, the protests against Obama were insane. I mean, they were calling him
Yeah.
like a Muslim lover and all this weird stuff. He wasn't born here, and
Yeah.
God, it's just crazy. But that's where I think it started, like this rise of the MAGA right. The what's the theory? Great separation theory, where the white people are afraid that they're gonna lose their power in society.
I've heard of that before. Yeah.
It's probably
I don't.
true. Mm,
I don't know. Maybe I don't. I think for most people, I would say that's probably not the case. I don't think most people think about the color of their skin very much in that regard.
no. To be honest, if white people don't feel like they need their power, they should have more kids. White people don't have that many kids compared to other
Yeah.
minorities.
Yeah. That's true.
So that's an easy way to fix it.
Hmm.
But I want to touch on something that you talked about earlier, and you said RFK kind of had to make a decision when he backed Trump and whether to relinquish the little, let's call it, push for an independent party or to support a candidate that would benefit him personally, which it has. Now he's going to be the
Hmm.
head of, he's the head of like, what is he? Head of health and something services,
I
basically.
think it's NHS, which is National Health Service, I believe, or maybe it's got a
Yeah,
different acronym. I'm not sure.
but it is that.
Yeah.
And so I want you to like touch on that. Why do you think he shouldn't have done that and kind of rode with the independent thing, even though he would have lost like Jill Stein?
Yeah. Because I think that he should have seen himself as more of a stepping stone for something in the future for an
Mm,
independent candidate. Like, I mean, I don't know how true these polls are because every candidate has different polls that they go to that, benefit them. But he'd always have these polls that's like 75% of the public doesn't really align with both parties anymore, that was what he was running on. And it seems from what I see in people that there's a lot of truth to that. And I think if he was able to not be selfish and see himself as not the final product for the independent movement, then I think uh, he would have made a different decision and not endorse Trump. And he did a classic politician thing where, I mean, he stopped criticizing Trump. I mean, it was pretty evident. Like you can go back and see the videos where he's like, I mean, but even then he would say things that he was like, I supported Trump on this one thing. Like he was very specific about policies but more often than not, it would be something negative. He's like, I don't think Trump is good for America. And then he started rolling that back, and that's a sign. It's probably not a good sign, but it was only about Harris. Like one of the things I really liked about him was because he was not divisive when he first started. Like people would ask, like he was running as a Democrat, and people would ask him about like where people would ask him to essentially like attack other people on the left. And he's like, I'm not here for that. I don't want to do that. I don't think it's helpful. And it was very calming to see that. But yeah, that changed, and he started only attacking Kamala and the Democratic Party. And some of what he's saying is true in the sense that they kicked him out of the party essentially, like they wouldn't let him run as a Democrat, and but he clearly has some resentment towards the party, and I think that fueled more of his decision than it should have.
mm. Interesting. I think part of it, when you were talking about the decision, there's a game you have to play, and after you realize that you're not going to win and that your time is limited, because a lot of candidates, they're like Tulsi Gabbard while she was running. That was the prime of her fame.
Hmm.
What's the bald guy? Cory Booker,
Yeah, the
is that
senator,
his name?
right?
Yeah, the senator.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from him since. Bernie Sanders. He's still a senator, but besides these recent comments, Bernie is pretty
Yeah,
famous, so I'll
he
give it to him.
is. I think he's very famous in a lot of Democratic circles, and I'm sure
Yeah,
you've heard about the Bernie to Trump pipeline. How it's a very
no,
yeah, really a lot of people that really supported Bernie back in 2016 and 2020. A lot of those people ended up voting for Trump because he was
wow,
because dude, I really think that if Bernie, who was Bernie and Trump, if they hadn't kicked him out in 2016, I think Bernie would have won, not by a whole lot, but I think he would have won, and I think it
that
would
was
have been
2020.
it was both. He ran in 2016 as well.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, at
But
that
then
point, I'm
Clinton
still
took over. Yeah, she
yeah,
got the nomination. And but I think that would have been maybe the most interesting election, maybe ever, because both of these people are from the outside. Like Bernie's an independent. I didn't even know this, but he's actually an independent. Although he ran as a Democrat, obviously, but he both of these people are like outside of the party, and that would have been really interesting versus like him and Clinton, who was one of the most ingrained people in the party that exists. And
dude.
I,
I
don't know, I think it
think
would have been really interesting.
that gives Trump such an advantage because Hillary Clinton is like an established political figure who carries a lot of the baggage of what people don't like about politics.
Hmm.
Same thing with Joe Biden. Same thing with Kamala Harris because of her association with Joe Biden. Trump really gives you a feel that maybe it won't be the best decision, but at least we'll actually we won't be controlled by like this conspiratorial Bilderberger group
Hmm.
or the Soros, just some agent basically that's playing a game, playing us for
Yeah.
fools. And that's what appeals to me about Trump. I saw a study and they gave Trump opinions. And no matter if the opinions they associated with Trump on this study were to the left or to the right, people agreed with it.
Mm.
Like Trump supporters don't waver. They really do love Trump. And if you ask
Yeah.
yourself why, to me, it's a cheap answer to keep saying, "Oh, he's racist." Oh,
Yeah,
it
it
really
is.
shows the inner gender hating or the
Mm.
anti-LGBTQ sentiment of the nation. Like to me, it just shows that we know politics is corrupt. We still fascinate and talk about JFK and MLK, and we we still say like Fred Hampton. I mean, who
Mhm.
else has been shot by the government supposedly? There's still
Malcolm
conspiracies
X.
on 9/11, Malcolm X.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still so much that we want a straight answer on that people are getting
Mhm.
fed up. Like people want transparency, like genuinely.
Yeah.
And I haven't done my job because I'm a reservist, but as an intel analyst, you learn that there's a lot we don't know. That you
Mhm.
know, that for sure,
Okay.
because there's a lot, even if I wanted to, I couldn't access because everything is on a need to know basis. And this has to go the same for the FBI, because you don't learn information unless you have a need to know of that information. They just don't give it to you because you have a clearance. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And that's what's scary. It's like how much information is being withheld from people, changing UFOs to UAPs.
Mhm.
It's like, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Is it really to protect us? And that's what riles people up, I think, partly. And then a lot of it is altruistic human rights activists. But I don't know. I'm losing hope. Losing hope over here.
What do you think you're losing hope on?
That politics is ever gonna feel graspable to me, where like I feel
Mm.
like I'm touching politics. It just feels like a game, bro.
Yeah.
Like Trump lied. I had to do a research article on it. He made over 3,000 false comments within his first 18 months of presidency in
I
20
believe it.
2016. And we just don't care.
Yeah.
We just don't
Because
care.
he's a really I think he's smart in the way that he knows exactly how he's being perceived. Like he's
Yeah.
for the camera and he's really good at that. And so he tried to show himself as someone who is for the people, kind of a regular guy. He doesn't talk like a politician and any of that. And I mean, I go like sometimes a clip will pop up from 2016. I'm like, this guy is electric. Like that one clip when he's at the debate and he's yelling like, all these people in the audience, these are the donors. I know I don't like any of them. I'm supported by the people. I don't have any big fundraisers. And it's like, wow, that's pretty good. Even if it's not true though, it works for him, even if it's not true, especially now, like in the current election when he won. It was very different. He was way more pro donor.
Dude, there was so much money spent on this election from both sides.
It's
Billions of
crazy.
dollars.
It doesn't even
Billions
make
of
sense to
dollars.
me.
And we have people sleeping under bridges. It's like
Yeah.
that's why politics doesn't feel graspable to me. And I remember one girl was going off in class because she's taking a class on homelessness, and she keeps re-emphasizing this fact that like it's cheaper for us to house people than it is to put them in a shelter or it is to put them
Mm,
in jail. And then I was thinking, we had a huge conversation in class, like, where would we put homeless people at? We can't put it in the rich neighborhoods. We can't put them in the poor neighborhoods. We can't put them in downtown. So
mm.
what are we gonna do? Build like a prison-like plantation?
Yeah, just for homeless people.
It just
Yeah.
there's no real good answer that you can give. Rich people will get mad. Poor people, it'll just make the area worse and honestly put them around people that probably will get them back on bad habits.
Hmm.
You can't put it in downtown. Downtown, I mean, that's the life of the city.
Yeah. And most people don't want that.
No, businesses don't want that. People who live in high-rise apartments don't want that. That it just politics feels so distant, bro. It doesn't feel real. It feels like sports. It feels like sports. Like
It
I'm
is
watching
very
football.
sporty, especially modern politics, I think. Yeah, in a
Just
lot of
sensational
ways.
sports. Like I can
Mm,
watch what's his face? Patrick Mahomes. I'll never meet Patrick Mahomes. I'll never know Patrick Mahomes. I'll never go to a game probably. I mean, it's there and I know it's real, but I just see so many other things in my life that I value that I can actually touch. Like I can touch my fitness, I can touch my finances, I can touch my ability to just read and continue because like I'm not a good reader. So there's just things I can work on that yeah, maybe I'll be a little detached from society because you know you don't know what's going on all the time.
hmm.
But it's like, what use is it? Like, what does it do for me? Like this Matt Gates guy who just dropped out, the national security
Yeah, that's
advisor,
what it was.
bro, touching a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Are we joking? Like, it's just, yeah. I don't know, man. It's a weird thing.
It was definitely super weird. I've actually just as kind of an experiment, I've thought about not uh paying almost any attention to politics in like the next 4 years, just to like I'm curious to see like what I would spend my time doing if I'm not doing that, or just how it would feel. I don't know if I will. I probably pay less attention, at least until like the next election begins to roll around. But yeah, I've definitely thought about doing that. Just to kind of see what happens. Because
I mean,
like a lot of people do use politics as a personality thing. Like this is what I think. As someone who thinks like this is blah blah blah. And yeah, I don't like that side of it.
okay, so I want your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Latino men, 55% voted for Trump. In 2016, it was around 36 to 37%.
Hmm.
What
So
has Trump
20%
done to
increase.
gain Yeah, what has Trump done to gain the Latino vote besides call Puerto Rico a piece of trash?
Um, well, I think there's actually a significant amount of Latino people that are very pro deportation, which is interesting. Even some of these people did come here illegally, but they're like,
Tell me about
ju-
it.
it, it's like it's just for me though, like it's very interesting. Um,
Dude,
but
there's a thing minorities say, no one hates minorities more than a minority who made it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Um, but I mean that's a factor, like how he feels about immigration with the chaos that's happening right now. And um, I mean, I think again, with the way that he presents himself as like a strong figure. And I think a lot of people like that.
Okay. You think minorities? I heard this is not my argument, but I heard someone say my Latino men vote like white people.
I don't even know what that means. Like, I guess they
Yeah, I didn't know
vote
what
the
that
same
meant either.
way? Yeah.
It's like you
Seems like too much of a blanket statement.
basically. A friend talked to me about this. He said when minorities think they're cool, what they do is start to act white. When they know they attract white women, they start to act white. So they start to disassociate themselves from their own culture and their own upbringing, and they start changing their personality to fit more mainstream means. And I thought it was an interesting thing.
Do you
He
think it's
literally just told me yesterday.
yeah, do you think it's acting white though, or are they acting like what they view as being white? Because most of the white people that I know, or I don't know how to put it, but if I see a white guy like just and he's overly being cool, like the classic Chad, like a frat guy, you're like, this guy's it's kind of cringe. Like it's a little cringe. And there's clearly some overcompensating for something. I don't know what it is, but there's probably something going on.
I think, and this is something I need to do a better job on, we need to disassociate white from white beauty. Like good looking white people, the elite class of white people, the rich white people, the beautiful white people, they're different from like, I'm not gonna name any names, but dude we went to high school with that was like average looking and is not doing much now. Like
Yeah.
those aren't the same. They that the rich class of white person is not gonna hang out with that
Yeah,
type of
and I
person.
think there's something to that though. I think it's different for a minority, and I've heard this before. Like people said that about Obama. Like black people saw Obama and they're like, that's me up there. Like that gives me a lot of hope. But
Yeah.
we are more disconnected from each other, and like it's not like what is white culture? I don't even know what that is.
I
I
have
don't know
no.
what that would even entail. I mean, you could make some like things up, like being
What's it
emo,
like hunting?
hunting,
Emo,
sure,
hunting,
like
punk
young white
rock,
emo. Yeah, it's like
Kiss. Like I think of Kiss
yeah,
and Nirvana.
yeah,
But
like
those are all
old.
old. Those are all old references. Like give me something from like 2000 the teens. Like what could you name? New Girl?
I don't know.
Uh
I don't think white people think about it in that way anymore. I think I think maybe as the generations have like progressed, I don't think we and this doesn't really bother me. It might bother some people, but I don't think we have much of a culture anymore. Like there's not things that I would say like that's mine. That's mine. It really feels I mean to me, I grew up watching Schoolhouse Rock. I still remember like the melting pot video and like that makes sense
that's
to me.
with that's with that one actor
It's a
Jack.
cartoon.
Oh. I was
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
It's like this old cartoon VHS tape that we used to watch. Like the I think one of the most famous ones is the Bill song. He goes like, "I'm just a Bill and I'm only a Bill." Never heard this?
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought you
Well,
were talking about
then
the
you know
Naked
what
Brothers.
this might be a white thing. Maybe, who knows? Um,
What's the show
but
called?
it's called Schoolhouse Rock. I don't even know if it's a show. It might have just been like a couple of movies back in the
Schoolhouse Rock.
day, and a lot of it was like I guess you'd call it a civic show. Like it would teach you about like the judicial system and like you got the yeah, I don't even know if I remember. You got like the three branches of government. You got legislative, judiciary, and what's the other one? It starts
The
with an
hell?
E, I think. I don't remember.
Executive.
Executive, that's what it is. Yeah. But
Okay, I
um
have another question for you.
okay.
Never attended college, 63%. Attended college, 51%. Associate's degree, 56%. Now, bachelor's degree, 53% for the Democrats. Advanced degrees, 59% for the Democrats. Why are people with less than a bachelor's degree voting for Trump?
Because I think that the Democrats have excluded anyone that's not an elite. And maybe that's not even intentional. Maybe they didn't know that that's what they were doing, but I think that's how it feels to a lot of people
So
that
do you
is
think a
not an
lot of the
elite.
ideals, of gender, sexuality, race, do you think you have to have a level of education to really grasp what they're trying to tell you?
I don't, maybe not education necessarily, but I think it does have to do with what you're spending your time thinking about. Like a lot of people that are lower class, they probably don't really care much about that question. They're more concerned about trying to survive. It does seem like almost a privileged um,
Yeah,
thing to really concern yourself about.
but remember the lower class voted for Kamala
Did they?
overwhelmingly. Yeah, it was the middle class that voted for Trump.
Hmm.
None of this makes sense, bro.
Yeah, that is a strange divide. I wonder if maybe some of the middle class, um, well, I mean, maybe it's because the middle class like income has shifted. Like even the middle class, I don't know if middle class, the term has been updated for inflation. Like I don't know what that entails. But is middle class still the middle class, or has it
That
updated?
is no, that's a good point because I had a professor tell me that a lot of people who identify as middle class are not actually middle class and they're either in the lower class, upper lower or lower
Yeah.
or yeah, upper lower or lower higher, like somewhere in that like vast
Okay.
extremes. And I think we really did forget about the middle class because look, I'm poor. Yeah, but I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a car note. I don't
Yeah.
have things. Like I just need to pay my rent.
Hmm.
If I had a family, oh, I'd be pissed at inflation.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine, bro. 3 kids, soccer practice, new iPhone, school supplies. I just couldn't imagine, man. I would be heated. I mean, that seems ridiculously hard. So,
But
I
I,
don't
I
blame the middle class.
yeah, I think the uh the part of the population that polled or even voted, I think the highest for Democrats were rich white people, like educated and wealthy. So
Mhm.
I don't know, it says something. And I'm sure most of the poor whites, to quote Dave Chappelle, I'm pretty sure most of them voted for Trump, if I was gonna guess.
Let's see. I can't say poor whites. I can say whites 18 to 29, it was a 49 split. Whites 30 through 44, 55%. Wow.
For Trump?
45 to 64, Trump,
Okay.
62%. And then above 65, 55% Trump.
Hmm.
But black people, 65 and up, 93% Democrat.
Interesting.
Like the polarization goes across age groups. It's insane.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's probably no answer for any of this, but
There's not one answer.
nah. But the only real answer is the Catholic vote. Every president that wins the Catholic vote wins presidency. Like it happens every time. Like it just yeah, it's every time.
Is it specifically Catholic or is it Christian?
No, Catholic.
Huh.
Like we were having this discussion
Is
in class.
is Catholic the biggest Christian denomination in the US? Because I would think it would be Baptist, because they have the mega
No,
churches and
maybe
stuff.
because we live in the South, you see it that way.
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
I
Hmm.
think Baptist stops at Arkansas.
Maybe.
It
Could
might.
be.
I don't know. Ugh.
I
So what's
think
on your mind?
well, I was thinking about this after the election. I thought about how it tells something. I think there was like 10, I think as of now it's close to 10 million people that didn't vote this time that voted last time. and all of them were
Mhm.
pretty much Democrat. Like Trump, I think
Yeah.
got basically the same amount of votes as he did last year, maybe a million more. Like that's it.
Mhm.
But and then Democrats lost 10 million votes, and I wasn't surprised that it was less people voting. I did think that was going to be the case because I think people, I mean, more people, I would say, are just kind of burnt out on the stress of politics and how people talk about it and how it seems like it gets increasingly ruder because it's like a very short form discussion of people being like, well, you fucking suck. What do you love Trump? Or you white dude for, like, it's like rage. It's just stupid, like small rage stuff. And then,
Mhm.
but it says something that 10 million people would rather not vote and just abstain than vote. I don't even know if it had to necessarily do with Kamala, vote for the Democratic Party this election.
Yeah, I was really interested in the Muslim vote. This isn't like a popular thing to talk about. Like no one really cares because Muslims make up maybe 1% of the entire electorate in the US. So, but if you look at Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, Michigan, which is like the most highly concentrated Muslim cities in the
Is that the
US,
one that like 30% voted for Stein?
18%.
18. Wow, that's still a
Yeah,
lot though.
18%.
And then
And
Trump got like 45 or something.
yep. So
Yeah,
you know about it.
yeah.
Dude, the Muslim vote, I don't know if it would have changed the election, but it definitely made it harder. Kamala did not address the Gaza conflict at all, and one time
Yeah.
she addressed it. She said, "I know that people don't like to see dead babies and civilians dying, but I know those same people also want their groceries to be cheaper." And I was like, "Lady, what?"
Oh, she's like, so she took the route like you got to pick one, essentially.
She said, "I don't know what. I don't even know if that was an ultimatum. I just think it was like
Hmm.
it was a detour. It was just."
Yeah.
So going back to our earlier point, like she just didn't differentiate herself. And even with the latest arrest warrant that the international court gave for Netanyahu,
Yeah.
the US is completely against it. And
Hmm.
the
I
US
think we're one of the
actually
only
just vetoed
ones.
a ceasefire. Yeah. We
Yeah.
just vetoed a ceasefire. So I don't know what we're doing, man. I hope Trump comes in there and does something good. And on the part of crypto, I
I'm
hope
really skeptical about that.
me too.
I mean, I do think he's gonna do good in the Ukraine war from my perspective about coming to an agreement about something. But Israel's a lot more tricky because I mean, even though Trump says he's outside of the establishment, he sure sides with the established, all the establishment. We're like, you know, we have to defend
Yeah.
Israel. We love Israel. Everybody loves Israel.
Yeah, the Muslims have just since, I mean, before 9/11, but since 9/11, it's just been really hard for Muslims to gather sympathy for Americans. And going back to our conspiracy point, we still have a lot of unanswered questions about 9/11, which, like, personally, I would want to know. So,
Yeah. Do you think Trump would
again,
release those? Because I don't think
no,
he would. I think it's too soon.
no.
Yeah.
Dude, they had a whole, in 2009, they, in Toronto, they did a whole 6-day conference over analyzing the evidence off 9/11. There's so many holes in the story.
Mm.
They gathered professors from all over the world, and it's so long of a thing to watch. Like each episode is like 6 hours. Like it's not fun, it's not a TV show. It's just people on a stage talking and going through evidence on a PowerPoint. It's so boring. I got through one episode. Like it's so boring. But yeah, there's just a lot of questions.
But I think
So,
that I think it says something that I think most people would agree with you on the sense that how complicated the stuff is, it is kind of boring. And people in a way don't care about that. Like a lot of people don't really want to know. Like there was a I watch Breaking Points a lot. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a YouTube show. Like a That's where I get a lot of my news from. Um, and there was a I wonder if it was just a quote. I think it might have just been a quote from someone, but it was something like people don't want to be informed, they just want to feel. like they're informed. Like they don't want to do the work and actually learn things. And I think that is true for, I don't even know, it would be
Dude,
arrogant
we're
to say the
self-serving.
majority of people. So I don't know about that. But there's
No, we
definitely a
definitely are
lot.
self-serving. I agree
Yeah.
with that a lot.
Yeah.
It's sad. I had one of my professors just finish his dissertation, and it was about how first generation immigrants come to a new country and they become journalists, right?
Hmm.
And what motivates them to become journalists. And he identified self-serving characteristics where they have to feel like they're giving back to their hometown or their home country and their own people. So it's like self-serving their guilt. And I think that manifests itself in a lot of aspects in our life.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we were kind of talking about this earlier, but it is a weird line to toe of like what you're saying, like why are you really writing this stuff in journals? Like are you just doing it so you feel like you're a part of the community? Like are you
Hmm.
actually a part of the community or are you just doing it because some people recognize you and like that's enough? It's enough dopamine
Well,
for you.
like so this right here, when I wrote it, it was a sense of nervousness because now I know that every time like I watch porn, I'm now being a hypocrite in the most
Yeah.
like highest form because I've voiced it and I've publicized it.
Mhm.
So in a way, it motivates me. In another way, it daunts me. It's daunting. But in a way, it's sometimes, and this is like the Andrew Tate argument that I give to people. Sometimes you got to separate the person from the advice. If
Yeah.
50% of what you say is garbage, that's cool. But if 10% of what you say is genius, I'm still going to recognize that 10%. I got
Yeah,
to.
you definitely should.
So, you know, just because me or anyone else tells you not to do something, yeah, maybe if you look at like if Jordan Peterson, like I have a poster over here of Jordan Peterson. If he came out tomorrow and said, I've actually this past few years I've been a constant weed smoker and I never let anyone know. Would it hurt me? Yeah, because I like looked up to him, but that was my problem. I shouldn't have
Mhm.
looked up to another man like that, especially one so distant from me. So that's like, we swap the two too much. We need to figure out that
Yeah.
advice and role models are two different things.
Yeah, it's Jordan Peterson's actually I think an interesting example too because it is I find it really strange that most people know who he is. Like it's weird
Bro,
how he's
everyone
such a
knows
public
who he is.
figure.
Yeah,
I know, everyone
bro,
knows his name. It's so strange.
everyone knows Jordan Peterson.
And if you were gonna like if I was watching a lecture that he did 7 years ago or whatever, and someone's like, "Oh, like this is a lot of people have opinions about him, and a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people really hate Jordan Peterson." So if I'm
Yeah,
watching a lecture that has nothing to do with politics, nothing at all. It's about whatever course he happens to be teaching at the time, and someone's like, "Oh, you're watching Jordan Peterson? I hate that guy." I think you're like, I would just ask, "What do you hate about what I'm watching right now? Like, do you even know what he's
yes,
saying?" It's so
yeah.
odd.
People don't understand before he became this political guru, which is why I don't like him anymore.
Yeah,
His psychology lectures
it's
are
very interesting.
insane.
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah,
very
man.
interesting stuff.
I used to go through them like cake. I love them.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
Nietzsche, the Jung, the Piaget, the
Mhm.
biblical lectures. So cool, bro.
Yeah.
So cool. Insane. Insane work. Insane work. He got me to read books by Jung. Like I actually
Yeah.
have books and did I understand them? No. But in reality, they're really outdated. They're really outdated. A lot of this
Yeah.
like psychology has developed so much, like Jung and Freud, Adler and Fromm and all the rest of them, like they're not they're not really up to
But one
date.
of the really good things about Jordan Peterson in those lectures that he was able to, in a sense, he was a really good teacher because he was able to explain the stuff in this book in a way that anyone can understand it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was, I don't know, really good. Really good for society in that regard.
Oh, most definitely.
And I think it's some of the same, I mean, maybe I think there is a significant amount of people who, like you said, once he started to get really into politics, I think some people stuck with him because they can't differentiate. Like it's not even that they disagree with him or agree with him. They just they're like it's a personality thing. Like I just love Jordan Peterson. I still love him. Anything he does, cool with me.
Mhm.
But that's just kind of what happens when someone gets that famous and people just know who he is.
Yeah. It's like Taylor Swift's music.
Yeah, it's
No
like
matter
I
what
think
she releases,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
the
She's
Swifties will
gonna
be
she's
on it.
exactly the Swifties will say like this actually might be her best work. It could be her worst song ever.
Yeah.
And they'll have like or if it's really bad, they'll be like, yeah, it's bad, but maybe it's supposed to be bad. Maybe it's actually like a deeper message. You know what I mean? Which I have no evidence to back this up. I'm just saying this happens for a lot of different what people identify themselves with, and they just put themselves in boxes where they have to explain their way out of it.
Damn. No, that's a good point.
Like
But all
people,
right, we're gonna leave it there. We'll
okay,
be back next Sunday, right?
uh, next Sunday, yeah, we can do it next Sunday.
Bet. I'd like this. Like to make this a weekly thing. I like
Yeah,
this conversation.
yeah, we
It
should
was
get
good.
the other two to join too. I want to see what they have to say.
Yeah, man. I like, dude. No, another reason I love this podcasting thing. I still am connected to people who watch my content.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know if you remember Elijah Musasakin.
yes, I remember him.
Bro, he was watching my video on a job site while on his lunch break. I mean,
Interesting.
it's funny, you know. People will stay connected to you, and I look at YouTube like an Instagram.
Yeah,
It's like a social
it is
media
kind of
base.
strange though, because there were times when I would be watching your videos, and it's weird because I've known you before. Like I knew different from if I'm watching someone that I've never met in real life. But
Yeah,
it's weird because you kind of because I haven't seen you in person in like 6 years or something. But in a way, it's weird. It's confusing because like I kind of know you still because I'm hearing your thoughts, but it's a one-sided thing mostly for
yeah, parasocial.
and yeah. And then, but you could say that about people that you listen to their podcast. It's like, you know them. They don't. And I'm actually glad that I've never really met anyone that I've listened to their podcast because I'd probably say something dumb. Like I'd probably reference something that they said like 6 months ago, and they're like, dude, I don't know you. Like I don't know who you are. But it feels like you know them. It's a strange relationship, and honestly, it's probably not good for the brain. A lot of people don't know how to, I don't know how to deal with it. It's very strange.
It is strange. It substitutes real communication.
Yeah.
You
But I
like
mean,
feed yourself other people's thoughts instead of
yeah.
reciprocating thoughts.
Yeah, and I think the right way to do that would just to be like to be open to just hearing what people like off the cuff, like very lucidly are saying about whatever it happens to be. And that base is if you listen to people have genuine conversations all the time, then you could potentially get good at having this, I think. And that I think it's really good for that. And I think that's why it's blown up.